Kansas City Chiefs, I think the whole key is going to be how do they respond to not just getting beaten in the Super Bowl, but getting manhandled. I think for a team that has consistently won and consistently in the mix, it was pretty devastating inside that locker room, inside that organization. You hear the comments made publicly, but even behind the scenes, from what I'm understanding, is they feel like it was a failure last year. Mahomes says that game's going to haunt him. Kelce said it was a failure of the season. I know Mike Caliendo, a guard, said it was devastating. They were 60 minutes away from becoming the first team in the Super Bowl era to win 3 in a row, and then they were pummeled so severely that they were forced to face some hard questions about some issues on the roster that were covered up. And yes, great quarterback, some pieces, you can cover it up, and you can get pretty far. But can you get all the way if you match up against a really good team that, quite frankly, had a better roster? In Philly, it's an offensive line, that they had no shot of going against this Eagles defensive front. The impetus was clear. The Chiefs likely could have as many as 3 new starters. So how that offensive line gels and performs will be pivotal to this year's pursuits going forward. So when you take a look at them, I do think the strength is their defense. They finished last year with the second highest graded defense, placed in the top 10 in run defense, pass rush grade, coverage grade. The only team that accomplished that were the Eagles. The biggest weakness, I think, supporting cast around Patrick Mahomes. We talked about the offensive line, but he ranked just 8th among quarterbacks in overall grade last year, make it just the second time in 7 years as a starter that he graded below 90% or was outside the top 5 in grading. So much of that had to do with the Chiefs' relatively average offensive environment. They were only average in pass blocking grade. They were average in receiving grade, and they were average in rushing grade. In essence, when you look at their offensive line, what's their identity? What's Mahomes making a play? Offensive line's not going to dominate. Running game's not going to be a huge difference. Pass blocking, not exceptional, which means he's got to create. Mahomes got to create and do things. Look, you got to play better around Mahomes, not to win games in the regular season. You may not have to do that to win the division, which they've owned for a while, although Denver's getting better and the Chargers may be getting better. It's going to get tougher and tougher if they don't build that support around Mahomes, because the defense is there to win. This is not a team that has to outscore you and score you a million points. They have the potential to be really good with their defense, with their quarterback, but you got to get the protection better. You got to get playmakers better. I think an X factor for them is their guard, Kingsley Suamatia. They traded Joe Thuney to the Bears this offseason. They got a gaping hole at left guard. The spot's going to be manned by Suamatia, who struggled as